such an honor to welcome you all to the Impact Lounge Cannes Lion at the Festival of Creativity. Thank you so much for coming. We have a jam-packed day full of amazing panels and speakers. But to kick us off, I'm going to introduce Heather Mason. She is our CEO and founder. She's going to tell you a little bit about the Impact Lounge and our vision. Here we are. Give it up for Heather.
Hey. So thank you so much. Thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate you. And the Impact Lounge, just so you know what we're about, is we're about where change makers meet creators, filmmakers, and creatives. And so what a better place for us to show up than Cannes Lion, where we have creators and creatives who are thinking about how to use money, power, and influence for good. And that is what we want to talk about today. We've got a lot of panels all day talking about how you can use and employ things like AI, creator culture, through sports, through entertainment, and through advertising. So I really hope you enjoy. Stay all day. We have snacks. We have drinks, as you know. I do know there are people at the registration desk who can be convinced to even give you more drink tickets, potentially. So do stay. We have air conditioning, and we have some excellent speakers. And I will turn it back to Cassie to introduce our first ones.
Amazing. So to kick us off, we have From Athlete Culture to Creator Culture, the new Playbook. So let's welcome Alexis and Stefania to the stage. Give them a big hand.
Hi, guys. Hello. How's everyone doing? Good. Well, thank you so much for making the journey out here. I know it's hot and we're on the other side, so I appreciate you all coming this way. We have a lovely conversation for you all, and we'll open it up at the end for any questions. But we'll just jump in. For any of you that don't know us, I'm Alexis. I'm a partner and a head of sports at 16th, which is a part of Whaler Group, and Stefania is a creator that we work really closely with and helping just build her into what she wants to become in the sports sector of creator in the creator economy. So, Steph, let's jump in. Let's go deep into who you are. Tell us a little bit how you started this journey of being a creator and what you've been up to.
So I'll give you guys a little backstory on me. I'm a first-generation American. My family is from the country Georgia. So my dad is Georgian, my mom's Ukrainian, but she was born and raised in Kazakhstan. I was born in the U.S. When I was born, I was actually born disabled. So I had severe clubbed feet, bilateral club feet. Both my legs were turned in. They said I would never walk, let alone play sports. And I had casts for the first 3 years of my life. Went on to start playing sports as a way to become coordinated so that I could actually, walk without falling over. And fell in love with basketball. Played basketball all the way up until high school, where I quit. I was like, oh, this is not for me. I'm not going to play, in WNBA, so why am I playing? Ended up picking up fighting instead, so boxing, MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu. Did that for all of high school, went to college, saw the guys playing pickup. I was like, wow, you get that itch. If you're an athlete, you get that itch to play again. Didn't even have a pair of basketball shoes at the time. Decided, let me go to Foot Locker, buy a pair of Kobe 9s, go play with the guys at the Fit Rec, and ultimately started playing pickup basketball again, which led me to making videos on the internet. I'm one of the first women sports creators. I've been doing this for 10 years, full-time for the last 7 years, and it's been an amazing experience. They said that I would never walk, and now I'm here playing sports for a living, so.
Thank you. And with that, I'd like to kind of have you also just talk about what you've been doing. The last few weeks you've been on the road. Everyone knows FIFA World Cup is going on, so I kind of want to jump into the fun things you've been working with PlayStation and over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, so we've been on the road for the past month around Europe. I miss my bed a lot. But we started off for the UCL finals, going to Budapest, working with PlayStation to kind of be one of their only actually basketball creators. So they had a plethora of different soccer, football creators out there. But I was the only one that was kind of outside of the traditional football sense. I play all sports in my content, but heavily focused on basketball. So it was a little bit of a risk for them. They were like, oh, we've never done something outside of traditional footballers for this kind of activation. do you think you could do it? Do you think you could play? I was like, yeah, no problem. I play all sports. I can do it. We actually went around doing that. And while we were on the road, we decided, I live stream as well. So we were like, we should live stream our entire experience from Budapest, onward to where we got to today here in Cannes. And so we went around Budapest playing soccer with kids on live stream. We would go to different soccer fields and or football fields, sorry. I know we're in Europe now, so maybe I should say football. We went to different football fields and, we were mostly trying to train, but then the kids would come and they would start playing with us. So we're like, okay, I guess we're playing pickup with the kids, And so we did that all around all of Budapest, but we also had brought an entire suitcase of shoes and footballs and basketballs and different kind of World Cup merchandise to give away to kids. So we ended up doing that around Budapest. Then we went to my home country, Georgia, where we did the same thing. We went to different little cities around Georgia, live streamed the entire thing, showed our experiences, showed the food, culture, showed how we integrate sports into food, culture, etc. Just trying to give people a different experience than just the traditional vlogger who's going to a country and just showing their, the tourist spots and everything. We wanted to really show how sport integrates into every part of culture. And so we gave a whole bunch of things away. It was a lot of fun. And then we came to Paris. We did the same thing in Paris. I played pickup with all the guys in Paris as well, which was a lot of fun. I've never played out there. They're a little bit rough. It's fun to see how basketball kind of changes throughout different cultures, though. Last year, we were in China for 2 months. And so it's really interesting for me as an athlete, but also as a creator, to kind of experience these things and then see how it changes throughout different cultures and communities. But community is really a big part of everything I do. So it's been a blessing to be able to do this for my job.
No, yeah, and it's incredible too. You talk about community, you talk about impact, and I kind of want to dive deeper there. You didn't just start giving away and impacting communities on this trip. You've been doing it for over the last few years. So tell me a little bit about that. I know you have your Kindness Act that you're going around New York, and I want you to dive into that story, how you started walking across the country, how that turned into moving to New York, and what that is all about and what you're doing in New York too.
So I didn't think I was going to be a creator at all. This wasn't a decision where I was like, hey guys, I'm going to start making videos on the internet, right? I originally was actually trying to do a platform for social good. I was trying, right out of college, I thought that I was going to be, a tech entrepreneur, building a social platform for social change, trying to help nonprofits quantify their impact. And so I did that for a minute, and then I realized if I don't have a voice, then nobody's gonna listen to me when I say more young people should do positive things. So I started building my presence as a way to try to create a voice for myself among my generation. As I kind of developed into it, that's where basketball kind of fell into it, and I started trying to build community within basketball and sports. One of my first projects, big projects that I did, was carrying basketball hoops around cities to play people in the street. And I would literally pull a full-size basketball hoop through Times Square and just set it up and play people. I didn't have permits. I didn't have anything. I got kicked out a couple times. It's okay. We just moved to a different spot. But we just did that as a way to kind of bring communities together and do it through sport. Eventually, that was in 2019. 2020, the protests broke out. We had originally, prior to COVID, we had originally planned for a nationwide tour of our portable hoop concept. And we obviously shut that down when COVID happened. But when the protests erupted, Philadelphia, where I'm from, was kind of on fire. Philly. But yeah, so it was on fire, and we saw it as a way to kind of bring the community back together. So we brought protesters and police together and had them play with one another. I was kind of just playing myself, but then also organizing other people to play as well. And we did that throughout the entire, protests that were going on in the country. And then after that, we tried to walk across the country pulling a basketball hoop. We didn't get to finish. We got through all of California. I'm going to try again. I got diagnosed with Graves' disease, so I had to take a step back and take care of my health for about a year and a half. But we will do it again when I'm finished in New York for my Give Back project there. But yeah, we attempted to walk across the country, and that, again, was to show people that if I could walk across the country pulling a basketball hoop and I was born disabled and I was never supposed to walk, then you can do anything you want in life. And that was a big thing for me, is like I really want to motivate people and inspire them to realize like you can really accomplish anything. Like I'm a living testament to that. Like if there's something you want, even if you're not somebody who's necessarily given the appropriate circumstances to accomplish that thing, like as long as you're willing to go and put all the work in, you might have to work harder than somebody else. You might have to go through things that somebody else doesn't have to go through. But I firmly believe like anything you want to achieve, you can achieve. And so that's something that we try to push throughout my content as well, is like community, inspiration, positivity. You know, you can achieve anything basically. But now that we're in New York, we always have like a project for the year. Now we're in New York. Our main project this year is a give back project. So we basically walk around the streets of New York and we give things away. And whether it's, you know, basketballs or shoes or money or taking people to go eat or, you know, beauty products. We gave away a bunch of beauty kits. Like we find kind people who are, you know, interacting with us. And we try to find a way to give them something to show them that we appreciate their kindness. And so we've been doing that throughout New York. We do it in different countries now as well. But that's a big part of my content too.
And that's huge, because being in an online space where image is everything from a perception standpoint, you've really made a platform where your impact is above the image.
Yeah.
And that is something that not only you can see through your content, but also your connections that you have. And you speak about going to these new communities, these new cities you've never been. How do you build trust in these communities that is offline? And walk us through that. How do you build it offline, but then how do you build it online?
So I think building trust within communities really starts with just your energy, right? Like what you put out in the world is what comes back to you. So everything I do, I try to do it with like a real purpose. Like what am I doing this for? And so when I approach my content, I approach it in the same sense, right? Like I don't ever want to put something out that doesn't have like a purpose. There's a lot of creators who and this is no knock to any creators of any kind, but you know, like there's a couple different kinds of creators. There's creators that just do your everyday content, and those are great pieces of content. And then you have people who do maybe like more project-based content. That's kind of where I sit. I want all my pieces of content to have like actual tangible impact, like either we impact a specific person's life or we impact a community's life, like overall general lives, I guess. But we're always trying to have some kind of impact. I think in terms of building the trust behind that, it really comes down to like, how are you connecting with people, right? So I live stream intentionally. Like live streaming is one of my favorite pieces of content. I've been making content for 10 years. I've had a lot of experience on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, every platform. But there's something really special about like live streaming and Twitch, where you literally sit and talk to these people who are watching you for hours. They see every part. They see when you're frustrated. They see when you are sad. They see when you're happy. They see like the positive. They see the negative. They see everything, right? And I think being authentic in that, like showing them all parts, is what builds that trust as well. Is they don't just see like the perfect version of Steph. They see every piece of Steph that goes into having that perfect 30-second clip, right? And so I think that's kind of why my community is so strong at this point. They really have got to see like me go through having a thyroid disease, right? And I have 2 autoimmune diseases now, right? Like they've seen me go through the struggle. They've seen me had to work to get back from having like my health issues. I gained a lot of weight during that time. Maybe to other people it wouldn't have seemed that way, but to me it felt that way, right? And trying to come back and work out in the gym, they saw every single workout. They watched me through all my workouts. They watched me rupture my ATFL last year and have to come back, like not being able to walk again, and have to come back after surgery through rehab, through, you know, every single training session, through everything just to get back on the court again. So I think showing your true self, like authentically, people always say the word authenticity, but it's really, really accurate. Like showing your true self where people understand all parts of you and all the imperfections of you is really what allows people to trust you more. Because if you only show them the perfect image, like they're never gonna know who the real you is, and they're not gonna really identify with you at all. Which is a blessing and a curse, because on the one side, it makes you very polarizing. On the one side, you have people who really, really love you, and then you also have the other side, which is like that's where the hate comes in as well. But that comes because you're polarizing, and polarizing is honestly a wonderful place to be, because that's the biggest place where you see growth.
No, that's phenomenal. And in this room right now, everyone looking to make an impact or currently in a position to make an impact, like you said, you're sitting on that fence of polarizing. You can't always please everyone. You can't always just do everything that you want. There's a lot of things that are out of your control. So in everything that you just described, from physical, emotional, spiritual circumstances that you had to go against, how do you overcome and still make an impact at the end of the day?
Mental toughness. It's tough. It's hard to have your entire life on the internet. I've had my entire life on the internet for 10 years. There's definitely been times where I've, taken a little step back because it gets a little overwhelming. But I think prioritizing your mental and trying to work through the things that you feel is important, because just trying to tough through all the time doesn't always work, and eventually you will get to a point where you're like, yeah, I can't do this, and I'm gonna have a mental breakdown. And so I think really trying to prioritize mental health, trying to find ways to, organize yourself inside your head as well. Find things that make you happy. I think having an actual passion and a purpose is really helpful. I know what I'm doing this for, so it makes it a lot easier to tolerate some of the things that maybe aren't as fun. And I know that my impact is powerful. So when I have an instance where maybe I'm not feeling as good about things, I look to, the people who have told me that I've impacted their life. And to me, that's like way more important. So I think a lot of times it's kind of like, okay, well, yeah, maybe I don't feel great today, but I have a whole community of people who kind of rely on me to be somebody that inspires them to be great. So I can't let them down. I have to make sure I keep pushing through and be the best person I can be every day, and just try my best. We're just trying out here.
And I think that's a phenomenal segue. You have a room full of people right now. We're early in the day. We're going to go out. We're going to interact with different people, connect with different people. How would you encourage this crowd to go and make an impact in what they have today and who they meet?
I think, honestly, just go try your best, guys. No, but in all seriousness, I think if you approach every conversation as, like, you're not trying to get something out of somebody, you're just trying to interact with people, and you enjoy the process of, like, actually meeting people and, building relationships and building, like, friendships with new strangers. I think actually, attacking it that way, instead of like, oh, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna collect as many business cards as I can today and put them in my pocket and then send them an email later, and like that's great, but like building an actual relationship, like let's say afterwards we have a conversation, we sit down and talk, and we have like a real intimate conversation, that lasts a lot longer than just grabbing somebody's business card. So I think really trying to go out today and just actually find somebody that you can meet and talk to and build a connection with, and hopefully you guys can do some great business after that.
Yes. You touched upon interacting and also just engaging and being mindful and intimate with relationships and connecting with people. Over the last 10 years of being online, what is one advice that has impacted you the most?
This one's hard. I think The best thing that I've ever heard was like knowing when you have, so I have a disability, right? I can either look at that disability as a problem or a blessing. And so this was actually a recent thing someone told me. They were like, because I met a Paralympic fencer, and she was telling me how she used to view her disability as like a problem until she found fencing, and then she viewed it as her like superpower, right? I think that was probably the most profound piece of advice that someone told me. I've already felt that way about my own disability as well, but hearing somebody say it out loud is like, your shortcomings might actually be your biggest blessings. And I think being able to take your, your shortcomings and turn them into blessings is a big part of like finding success. And so, yeah, just nothing is a disability, nothing is a shortcoming. Your circumstances are your circumstances, and if you want to achieve something, just maybe just change your frame of mind towards that thing, and hopefully you can achieve some like amazing things in life.
No, you're spot on. I mean, especially when you think about today's landscape, it's constantly changing. You're always having to adapt. You're always having to understand of like, where am I at? What is all of our disabilities? We all are insufficient in some area of our life, and how are we using that to better ourselves, but also better the communities that we're walking into? One thing I want to kind of hone on right here is you've worked with a lot of nonprofits. You've worked with a lot of different philanthropy opportunities across nations, really, cities, states, countries. What is one foundation that you would like to give a shout out to, just what they're doing in the community, how they've helped you, how they helped you build what you're building right now? And also just kind of lean into that. I want to hear.
Shriners Hospital. Shout out to Shriners. They took my family in for my feet when I was a baby. Like I said, my family came to the U.S. 2 months before I was born, actually. So we didn't have anything at the time. Now we've built a business and we have like a thriving business. But at the time we didn't have anything. And Shriners Hospital, they didn't care. They took us in. They fixed my feet. 3 days after I was born, they took us right away. They fixed my feet. If they hadn't had done that, I would not be where I'm at today. So big shout out to Shriners Hospital. They took care of me for 18 years of my life, just like bringing me in for different procedures and casting every day or every week for the first like 3 years. So yeah, they're a big one for me. But yeah, they really impacted my life a lot.
And through that experience, with that impact, and seeing you grow over 18 years, that's a lot of growth that you've done, especially coming into this industry. What is one thing in this room that you can leave with as, how we're impacting one another, and like whether we're mentoring, whether we're looking after, what is one thing that those doctors and those staff were able to imprint on you? Was there a word? Was there a feeling?
So it wasn't actually, I will say this as the kids of the hospital instead. The kids impacted me a lot. So when I was young, I eventually started being able to walk into the hospital, right? There was a lot of kids that couldn't walk still. There was a lot of kids, one leg shorter than the other, no arm, different disabilities. And every single time I would come in there, and they would all be smiling. And I'd be over there, like walking in, feeling like, dang, my foot hurts, but meanwhile, like, you come and you see that, and you're just like, okay, I don't have a problem. My problem is nothing. And to them, they're probably feeling the same way. They look at somebody else, and they're like, my problem is nothing compared to this person. So I think just understanding that really there's no problems in life, guys. We're lucky to be here, and I'm so happy to be here.
No, that's great. And we just want to open it up also for any Q&As that you all have for Stefania. But before we transition to that, I know that there's been, we've said a lot. So if there's one thing that you walk out of this conversation and hearing, what's one word you want to leave the crowd with?
Resilience and greatness.
Resilience and greatness. So we thank you, Stefania. We just want to open it up. If anyone has any Q&A, we're happy to sit and chat with you all. Anyone? All right, well, we'll be here for, oh, yes. Here, I'll pass you the mic.
Hi, you've obviously been through a lot, and so it's easy to see where that resilience has been built up from, but where has the motivation come from to overcome that? Because a lot of people might have been defeated by it.
Yeah, I think, so being first gen is probably a big part of that, first generation. All I saw was my parents work really, really hard. Like, I don't know the difference. I think I had a friend one time, they were like, Steph, like, you're kind of like a man sometimes because, like, you just always, like, trying to, you know, be aggressive and do all these things and, you know, like, you don't know how to just, like, sit back. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't know the difference. Like, I don't know the difference between, you know, sitting down and not trying and working hard. Like, to me, it's like there's only one option, just like keep trying, keep working. And I don't think that's specific to men, to be honest, either. Like, to me, I think that comment was a little bit like, why do you think men are the only ones that work? But, you know, like, it was just like kind of eye-opening at that point. I don't think I ever realized that there was like a different option. I think in my head, it was always like, there's one option and you just have to work really hard. And no matter what happens, you just got to keep trying. Because at the time, I would see my family, like, you know, they would, my dad had like multiple jobs. Like, he would, like, we literally lived on top of a farm, like on top of a barn at some point. There was animals that lived below us, right? When they first got to the US. So, and then we moved into an apartment, and then we moved into a townhome, and then we moved into a regular house, and now they bought like a big farm themselves, right? Like, so, you know, I think just seeing that and understanding that, like, as long as you try and you keep working, like, you're eventually gonna get there. Like, even if you fail a million times, I've failed so many times. There's definitely been a million different projects that I've done that you guys have never even seen because they never saw the light of day. I filmed them, I did them, I looked back at them, I said, I don't like this, and we never put them out, right? But, you know, it's just like trial and error, trying to figure out what we like, what we don't like, how can you continue to push through things. One of my biggest mottos in life is do it anyway. Like, no matter the circumstance, just do it anyway. If someone pushes you down, you get up, you try again. Like, I don't think... I just think there's no other option. Like, it's either do or don't do. And if you don't do, then what? You just sit there and you don't do, right? Like there's nothing that comes from it. So I'd rather try than not try. I think that's really what it comes down to.
And then you had a question, too.
Did I answer your question? Okay.
It sounds like you've had so many, like a variety of experiences, but can you share an example where you really felt like you were going to throw the towel in? So it's like, that's it, I'm not, and walk us through how you worked your way out of that. So that's on one side. And on the other side, an experience that was just almost like that took your breath away as far as the inspiration that you got from it.
Okay. So this actually happened a year ago. I actually just made a video about this. I haven't posted it yet. I will be posting it soon. About a year ago, I almost completely stopped making content altogether. So we had, when we had tried to walk across the country, the reason we had tried to do that was, like, the initial thought behind it was, like, I need to do something to give myself purpose again, because I was finding myself making content and I, like, didn't love it anymore, right? And we were like, okay, what will make me feel like I'm doing something that, like, has impact again? And so we decided, might as well walk across the country and might as well pull a basketball hoop while we do it, right? We put it on a wagon. We're like, okay, let's plan this and let's do it. And so that was something that I was trying to do to find my love for content again. And when I got sick, I was sick for 3 months of us trying to walk. Every day I was literally, like, my body, I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know that I had an autoimmune disease. I just thought that I had, like, an ongoing flu that wouldn't go away. and I was taking Mucinex like it was like, you know, shots, like every day, like, okay, take some Mucinex, go walk. Like, so I just was not doing well. But I was trying anyway, because I was like, okay, maybe if I just keep pushing through, eventually I'll start to feel better. And then it just got to a point where I was like, I can't do it. Like, I would wake up in the middle of the night sweating, in pain, crying, like, couldn't even fathom, like, continuing another day. And eventually was just like, you know what, my camera guy back there, I turned to him and I was like, hey, like, we have to go back. Like, I need to figure out what's wrong with me, because we had gone to the doctor and he said, you're fine. And yeah, you know, that's just how it is when you go to the doctors these days. But he said I was fine. We continued. But at that point, I was like, no, we need to go back. We need to get testing. We really need to figure out what's going on. So we ended up going back, figured out that I have Graves' disease. And ultimately, like, when we tried to figure out what to do about it, we didn't know that it was going to take me 1.5 years to get back on track. That took a lot out of me. That 1.5 years, I had gained a lot of weight. I couldn't like function most days. Like, I was in a lot of pain most days. My energy levels, like, I would try to get up and do things, I couldn't do them. I would pick something up and I would drop it because my hands couldn't like hold things. And so I got to a point where I was like, I don't know how to continue doing this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing this for. Why am I doing this? I was really upset. I still tried. I got myself back up again. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it. Then I tore my ATFL on my ankle, ruptured, had to get surgery. At that point, I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe God's trying to tell me something. I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I just need to quit, right? And so I got to that point where I was like, okay, it's time to go. It's time to be done. I don't want to do this anymore. And we ended up sitting down with my content guy back there, and we were talking. We're like, okay, how about we try streaming? How about we try streaming? It's a lighter lift than regular content. You don't have to edit something. You don't have to think of a concept. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is show up. And so ended up showing up every day for 1 year, showing up on stream, just talking most of the time. Then once we were able to, you know, start doing my ankle rehab, then workouts, then traveling, then playing basketball again, then going around playing basketball and sports in different countries, right? But it took 1 year of building that back up to feel like myself again. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that is like, oh, I just decided and then the next day I'm fine. I think it's deciding every single day for a very long period of time that you're going to keep trying, and eventually you get to a point where you're like, okay, yeah, I'm here. We just won Shorty Sports Creator of the Year a month ago. So, you know, eventually you get there. It might not be the overnight success that that people might think it is, but eventually you do get there, and I think it's just waking up every day and deciding to try your best. On the other side, the moment that was happy for me was when we saw how big of an impact our portable hoop series was when we were doing it around the protests, and we saw how we impacted other big brands like, you know, NBA, Nike, all the big brands that started actually getting involved into, you know, Black Lives Matter. We kind of were like the trigger. We made it acceptable to get involved as a sports person in a societal issue like that, right? So I think that moment when I saw that, like, we were having the impact that we wanted to have on the moment in time, like, that was the moment where I was like, yeah, like, this is how I know that what I'm doing actually does something, and we can really, like, impact people through sports as well.
Thank you. And we just want to thank you all for showing up for us and allowing us to show up for you to make an impact. So.
Thank you, guys.
Amazing conversation. What an amazing update. Let's give it up to the panel.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. So we have a a couple of minutes while we reset the stage. But one thing that really struck me in that conversation was this idea of failure and finding your purpose. So we're all about connection and collaboration in the Impact Lounge. So I'd love if you could turn to the person next to you. It really reminded me of the quote from Samuel Beckett: try again, fail better. So maybe you want to share with your neighbor an instance of a time that you might have tried and failed, but that's ultimately resulted in you being a more rounded, more resilient artist or creator. I'd love for you to do that while we just reset the stage. Thanks so much.